What if the moment that saved the universe in Avengers Endgame was actually the moment it doomed every universe? And this starting of the Avengers Doomsday. I keep going back to that quiet ending. The battlefield is silent, dust settles, and for the first time in years the world breathes. Thanos is gone. The portals have closed. The heroes finally look like humans again. But the more I rewatch that ending, the more uneasy I feel. Because the story does not really end when the war ends. It ends when Steve Rogers picks up that briefcase. That walk to the time platform always felt emotional, but now it feels terrifying. Everyone believes he is going to fix time. I started connecting the dots and realized something disturbing. The Avengers didn't restore reality. They rewrote it imperfectly. They didn't close doors. They left them half open. Every stone removed created a fracture, and returning them required perfect precision across cosmic rules none of them fully understood. Steve wasn't just traveling through history. He was interacting with fragile anchors holding existence together. And if even one return failed in microscopic detail, the timeline wouldn't heal. It would scar. A scar in time doesn't disappear. It grows. The warning was always there. The Ancient One didn't speak dramatically. She spoke mathematically. Remove a stone and the branch darkens. Not maybe. Not eventually. Immediately. Bruce promised they would return them at the exact moment they were taken. But I keep thinking about what exact truly means. Time travel in their method wasn't rewinding tape. It was stepping into living moments already unfolding. Steve had to reinsert cosmic forces into realities that had already reacted to their absence. The universe had already adjusted to imbalance. Putting the stone back does not undo the reaction. It introduces a second reaction. Think of pulling a brick from a tower and quickly sliding it back. The tower still shook. Microscopic cracks remain. Multiply that across 6 stones and multiple realities. Suddenly the mission isn't restoration, it's layered disturbance. Steve didn't fail because he was careless. He failed because perfection was impossible. And when perfection is required for stability, impossibility becomes catastrophe. The timeline didn't snap instantly. It began decaying slowly, invisibly, like rust inside reality's bones. The Reality Stone is the clearest problem. Extracted violently from Jane Foster, turned into liquid energy, carried across time, then returned by a man with no Asgardian science. I always wondered how he actually put it back. Did he recreate the injection? Did he simply release it near her? Either option creates deviation. The ether bonded uniquely to her biology in that exact moment, under specific cosmic alignment. Steve cannot reproduce those conditions. If the bonding differs even slightly, that universe now contains a variant state of the stone, and variant stones create variant physics. That means matter behaves differently. Energy disperses differently. A universe like that slowly drifts out of synchronization with neighboring realities. When universes lose synchronization, they collide. Not physically at first, but structurally. Their laws compete. Space begins rejecting itself. That is what an incursion really is. Existence arguing with existence over which rules are correct. And the origin of that disagreement might be a single imperfect restoration by a hero who only wanted to help. The Soul Stone is worse. Vormir is not a location, it's a contract. A soul for a soul is not just payment, it is a permanent equation binding life and cosmic balance. When Natasha died, the universe recorded that exchange as complete. But when Steve returned the stone, he introduced a paradox. The payment remained, but the object was returned. Imagine paying a price for something. Then the item reappears without refunding the cost. The balance sheet breaks. The stone now exists twice in the logic of existence. Once earned, once restored. That doesn't resurrect Natasha, but it destabilizes the rule governing sacrifice. The multiverse depends on unbreakable constants. If sacrifice can be reversed symbolically, the rule weakens everywhere. Worlds begin generating impossible survivals, impossible deaths, impossible resurrections. Chaos spreads not as explosions, but as contradictions. The cosmos hates contradiction. To fix it, universes collapse into each other, searching for a consistent outcome. The Avengers thought they honored her sacrifice. They may have made it cosmically undefined. Then there's New York 2012. The moment Steve whispers, "Hail Hydra," always felt clever, but now it feels like contamination. He didn't just take a stone, he rewrote trust networks in that timeline. Hydra agents believed Captain America was secretly allied. Even if briefly, that knowledge changes decisions, surveillance, alliances, paranoia. When Steve later returns the stone, he returns it to a reality that is already different. That branch doesn't reconnect to the original flow because information cannot be unlearned. A single belief reshapes decades. In that world, suspicion toward heroes evolves differently. Maybe Hydra rises stronger. Maybe heroes fracture earlier. That branch grows independent, and once allowed to exist freely, it expands outward in probability. Every decision spawning new divergences. Returning the stone didn't close the branch, it fertilized it. The Avengers didn't create a timeline, they created a growing ecosystem of timelines. And ecosystems expand until they collide with other ecosystems competing for the same space in existence. This is where the Time Authority once mattered. The sacred timeline wasn't sacred morally. It was stabilized artificially. A controlling intelligence allowed specific chaos because it led to a predictable outcome. The Avengers were permitted because their actions guided certain individuals toward predetermined points. But once control vanished, the old pruning stopped. Now every branch the Avengers ever created continues indefinitely. They didn't just alter their own reality, they unleashed exponential timelines. Each one slightly incompatible with others. Each one slowly drifting closer. Picture countless bubbles expanding in water until surfaces touch and distort. When they overlap, pressure builds. Eventually, membranes rupture. That rupture is an incursion. And the shocking realization I had is this. The Avengers didn't cause one incursion. They triggered the conditions for infinite incursions. The universe survived Thanos instantly, but it might not survive the heroes gradually. Victory was loud. Consequences are quiet. Now imagine being a genius living in a universe that was perfectly stable until suddenly the sky fractures into red geometry. Continents tremble without earthquakes. Stars flicker without dying. A mind like Victor Von Doom wouldn't see magic or fate. He would see intrusion. He would trace patterns, calculate anomalies, and discover a repeating signature across realities. A specific temporal interference originating from one world repeatedly inserting and removing cosmic anchors. From his perspective, heroes didn't save existence, they contaminated it. Billions of lives across universes now face annihilation because one reality refused to accept loss. And here's the chilling part. One realized. From his viewpoint, he is right. If countless worlds die because one world resurrected its fallen, morality flips. The saviors become offenders. Doom's crusade wouldn't be revenge, it would be containment. Destroy the source, restore balance. Suddenly the Avengers are not defenders of life. They are the reason life everywhere is ending. And the source isn't Tony. Not anymore. The architect who organized the theft and return still exists somewhere in time. Steve Rogers didn't disappear, he retired into history. That means a living temporal constant remains anchored in the past, outside the natural flow. A man out of time living inside time becomes a fixed paradox. Doom wouldn't attack immediately, he would confront. Because breaking the symbol breaks hope. I picture a peaceful house, music playing softly, Two people finally getting the life they were denied. Then a knock. Not explosive, not dramatic, just inevitable. Steve opens the door expecting normalcy and finds a figure who knows everything he has done across realities. Not a monster, but a judge. The horror isn't violence, it's revelation. Being told your greatest act of heroism doomed countless worlds. That is, psychological warfare no shield can block. I think the first battle won't even be physical. Doom would force Steve to witness incursions firsthand. Entire realities folding because stones were imperfectly returned. Lives erased not by evil, but by correction. Steve always believed sacrifice must mean something. Now he faces the possibility his refusal to accept sacrifice multiplied suffering. That breaks a man more than defeat ever could, and that's why this story feels darker than any before. It isn't about stopping a villain. It's about confronting unintended consequences of righteousness. The Avengers fought for their world, not realizing the multiverse had equal claim to survival. Doom becomes terrifying because he represents the perspective beyond emotion. Cold balance, harsh logic. The idea that love for one world can become cruelty toward many. And suddenly the final stand isn't heroes versus villain, it's personal attachment versus universal preservation. When everything connects, the ending of that war transforms completely. The celebration wasn't closure, it was ignition. The stones returned imperfectly, branches left alive, contracts disrupted, paradoxes preserved, and a living anomaly anchored in the past. Every piece points to the same outcome, reality accumulating contradictions until correction arrives. Doom isn't arriving to conquer. He's arriving because the multiverse can no longer tolerate the Avengers' victory. The last 5 minutes didn't heal time, they postponed judgment. Now the bill has come due, and the cost isn't one planet or one timeline. It's existence deciding whether emotional heroism or cosmic equilibrium deserves to survive. And that's why the coming conflict feels inevitable. The heroes didn't lose when they failed. They may lose because they succeeded. If this theory reshaped how you see that ending, like, share, and subscribe.